Extraordinary claims coming out of Canberra tonight, with a former Prime Minister allegedly on a list of suspected pedophiles. Liberal Senator Bill Heffernan, who is pushing for the Child Abuse Royal Commission to include the legal profession, told an explosive Senate hearing he has a police list of 28 prominent suspects.
There's a former Prime Minister on this list, and it is a police document.
And now I'd like to introduce to you Fiona Barnett, that's B-A-R-N-E-T-T, who is one of the bravest people you will ever have the privilege to meet.
Throughout my childhood, I was a victim of Australia's VIP child sex trafficking ring. For example, I was prostituted to pedophile parties at Parliament House, Canberra, and to an international leader at Fairbairn Military Airport. The people involved in this elite pedophile ring included high-ranking politicians, police and judiciary. From the late 1980s, I reported my abuse experiences to multiple healthcare professionals, not one of whom adhered to mandatory reporting requirements. I reported to New South Wales Police in 2008. I reported to the Royal Commission in 2012. I reported to Operation Test in Canberra. I made formal witness statements to New South Wales Police and have agreed to do more. I've reported directly to the New South Wales and Federal Police Commissioners and to the New South Wales Coroner. I have provided sufficient names, times, dates and places for authorities to investigate. My experiences were horrific beyond words. I witnessed child abduction, torture, rape, murder. But the way I've been treated for reporting the crimes I witnessed and experienced has been far worse than my original abuse experiences. Victims endure the most miserable childhoods. We then spend the rest of our lives paying for the crimes committed against us. Victims are constantly placed under excessive scrutiny. If we can't provide a precise time and date for something that happened 40 years ago, we're called liars. If we get emotional, we're labelled crazy. If we are vocal, we're just attention seekers. It's time to focus our attention away from victims and onto those responsible for the crimes against children. In the 2006 census, Australians identified child protection as their number one concern. Why then does our government continue to ignore the public's concern for children? Australia is a pedophile haven. Our laws are written, interpreted and administered in a way that benefits pedophiles and silences victims of crime. Our university lecturers teach pro-pedophilia material. Our health boards continue to allow offending doctors and psychologists to practice. We are up to our second Royal Commission into child abuse in 20 years. The Wood Royal Commission was indeed a failure. If it was successful, I wouldn't be standing here right now. The Wood Royal Commission was established in response to complaints about the VIP pedophile ring that abused me. This is the exact same elite pedophile ring that I reported to the current Royal Commission. In 2013, I asked the Royal Commission, what are you going to do differently to the failed Wood Royal Commission? They had no answer for me. If the Royal Commission does not result in the investigation and prosecution of the VIP pedophiles that victims like me have named, then they are just information gathering. I know you want me to stand here and name names. Yet to concentrate on the names serves to shift the focus from the entire reason I'm standing here. I have provided the names to the authorities. It is their responsibility to combine my information with what other victims have presented and properly investigate. And now I will give you some VIP names. Michelle. Michelle was a friendly 12-year-old with long dark hair. I witnessed her abduction, rape and murder when I was 6 years old. Samantha. Samantha was 9 years old with wavy long brown hair and a warm smile. She had Down syndrome. Samantha was murdered when I was 12 years old. Chloe. Chloe was an attractive 4-year-old with brown straight cut hair into a bulb and sea green eyes. Chloe was murdered when I was 14 years old. Don't make this about me. Focus on those victims who couldn't be here today to personally share what happened to them at the hands of the VIP pedophiles who have infiltrated Australia's supreme institutions.
She always used to have beautiful gardens, flower gardens, full of flower gardens.
Down there is Holsworthy Army Barracks. It's not very, it's just a 5-minute drive away or so on Heathcote Road. So everything's very, very close. We're very close to Waterfall. Waterfall's just 2 train stations away. It goes Engadine, Heathcote, Waterfall, and all that down there, those mountains out there, acres and acres and acres of bushland where they've committed multiple murders. I've seen people murdered in the bush. I've seen a guy tied to 4 different vehicles, and bikies were involved as well, and they all drove off in different directions and his body exploded. I was age 6 when I saw that. I've seen multiple human sacrifices of children, hobos, people they abducted, children bred in captivity. And this is where it all started. These are the people that handed me over. Helen was Lithuanian and Peter was Polish.
Fiona had been staying with Helen and Peter, and she was 3 years of age, and I must have picked her up on the Sunday night, and she came home, and she went into her bedroom and that, and I could just see her standing at the door, and she said, right, she said, you're not allowed in my room anymore.
She was fun.
Fun?
Yeah. She was rebellious. She stood up to teachers. She was always entertaining. It was always good to just be standing a couple of metres away from her when that was happening. You would never go and stand next to her because you wouldn't want to get in trouble yourself.
I was an unwilling member of a coven, which was part of a greater crime syndicate, which involved drugs, guns, and sex trafficking, including child sex trafficking, human trafficking.
So you were an unwitting part of that coven?
Yes, absolutely.
And
I signed up from before my birth.
Well,
Absolutely.
You didn't sign up if it was before.
I did not sign up, so it was like being born into the mafia but never actually volunteering to be a member. But the same rules apply for leaving. You can check out any time you like, but you can never leave, like Hotel California song.
So who signed you up?
My grandparent, Helen Holovchek. Helena Miloweska or Helena Holozak, Holovchek, whatever you want to say. Yeah.
So it was her initiation, do you think?
Yes.
And what about her partner, Peter? What was his
My
involvement?
step-grandfather. He was involved heavily. He did the dirty work.
What was his role in your life?
He was to abuse me. For people involved in ritual abuse and mind control, you must also sexually abuse them, so that if they do remember anything, they'll remember the sexual abuse and the pedophilia, and they'll go, everyone will say, well, that's what was wrong. And they don't go any further, any deeper than that.
Oh, so the pedophilia is almost a safe...
It's a cover, it's a red herring.
For the mind control?
For the real bad stuff. Not just mind control, the ritual abuse, the Satanism, satanic ritual abuse.
She had this white hair, not blonde, but white hair, standing there amongst all the other girls, and she stood out. I mean, all of the girls in the photo I think were quite attractive, but Fiona stood out because of this white hair, and she looked angelic, yeah, back in those days. Beautiful looking girl.
This is a house of horrors. I was abused in this house from when I first stayed over here. I was left here alone with what I thought were my grandparents from the age of, almost 2, I think.
I'm not sure when I found out, probably a decade ago, perhaps a bit longer. Yeah.
Was that a surprise?
No, not a surprise.
Tell me why it wasn't a surprise.
Because I have been around quite a few people who've had abuse in their past. It seemed to happen quite a lot.
My biggest problem with Helen was when I was pregnant with Fiona, my first child, Helen determined that she was having the child and I was going back to work. And this was a foreign idea to me, you know, like I'd never heard of this.
What does she mean
She was going to have, I could visit Fiona on weekends.
To raise her?
She was going to have her all week and I was allowed to see her weekends. Okay. Helen, I'm having this baby because I want to have this baby, you know. No way, you know. And she was determined that she wanted this baby.
See, that's the original gate, security gate, and there used to be a dog out there all the time. That's where the dog named Satan lived. There used to be a sign at the front of the house with the name Lublin written on it. And that's named after the town in which the death camp was that Peter worked at.
At times I'd go over, when Fiona was young, if she stayed over there, I'd go to pick her up. He used to play the pillow like a guitar, you know, and get Fiona to dance. And he used to say repeatedly all the time, and now it would be something I'd respond to, but he would say, Fiona and Poppy have got a secret, hey? Fiona and Poppy have got secrets, you know, don't you tell anyone your secrets, you know? And he used to say that repeatedly.